today I'm going to be informing you on authoritative parenting style. An authoritative parent is a democratic parenting in which authority is based on competence or expertise. This means the authoritative parent is demanding, yet supportive. Authoritative parents have a positive relationship with their child. This means they're going to have a great bond with their child. An authoritative parent uses reasoning, power, and shaping. They reason with their child by saying, if you clean your room, you can go play with your friends. Power by saying, I expect you to have your room cleaned. And shaping by saying that now that you know that your room should be cleaned, you can play with your friends. Now we're going to go into the characteristics of authoritative parenting. The first characteristic is they are high support and control as well as autonomy granting. And autonomy granting means that they are allowing their child to find their own independence. Authoritative parents are receptive to child's communication. This means they listen to their child and try to understand where they're coming from. The authoritative parent scores high on both acceptance and control. This means they control what they do in their lives, but they accept them as who they are. Now we're going to discuss some tips on how to communicate with parents. And the first tip with communicating with an authoritative parent is to discuss academic achievement. The parents are very involved, and it is important for the educator to come prepared with all the portfolios that you have collected as an educator over the time, and just become prepared so that they know how their child is developing. Tip number 2 is describe the rules of the classroom. The parents are going to want to know what the rules are, and they're going to want to make sure that their kids are following them, so if there's any problems ever, that they know how to address them. Tip number 3 is discuss any behavioral issues. In authoritative parents, their kids are not likely to have behavior problems, so when they do occur in the classroom, it's really important for the educator to get a hold of the parent and discuss that with them and see what can be done. Understand the attachment between the child and the parent. They have a really close bond, and if you see that, then you'll see how the kid is going to react in the classroom. Discuss the child. Authoritative parents have the best interest in mind when it comes to their children. It'll also give you some insight on how the child is going to be when you have a parent-teacher conference and they discuss everything there is to know, and then maybe you can figure out any developmental problems that they may be having. Tip number 6, recognize the interests of the parents and see if they correlate with the student. Usually with authoritative parenting, the parents have an impact on how the child is going to have their behavioral issues, so recognize their interests and their behavioral patterns when communicating with this parent. Listen to any current concerns that they may have about academic achievement, or any concerns really in general, because they really want to know how their child is doing, and if you as an educator can help them get their child any extra help that they may be needing. And the 8th tip is give respect to the parents, with any parent really, because you are their child's educator. You want to make sure that you have a great relationship with them and that you're building that respect for the child's sake. Next, we will be talking about tips for communicating with students who have authoritative parents. The first tip is allow there to be open communications. Their parents are openly communicating with them, so should you be as an educator. Have a positive attitude. You should always have a positive attitude in the classroom, but their parents have a positive attitudes towards them, and they usually expect the same from you. Be supportive when communicating with students. Don't discourage them. Remind them that it's okay to make mistakes, as their parents would do also. Challenge the students' thinking. Children of authoritative parents usually excel more in academics, and sometimes they may need a little more challenge. So maybe ask them higher order questions when communicating with them. Have a quality relationship with the student. Their parents have a great bond with them, and they're going to want a great bond with you. This should be seen with all children anyways, but especially with authoritative parents who have children. Tip number 6, use positive reinforcement. Positive reinforcement is where they do something great and then you commend them with your words. For example, they may ask somebody who doesn't usually get played with on the playground to play with them, and you say, thank you for being a good sport and playing with them. Their parents are going to use positive reinforcement, and it is also beneficial for them to experience this. Tip number 7, explain the reasoning behind the instructions given. Their parents are always going to be communicating with them, reasoning with them, and they're going to want the same from you. So try to explain things. Tip number 8, talk to the child with respect. Even though that child is younger, they're still a human and they deserve to be talked to with respect. And now, these are my resources that I used to compile all of this information.